there. I wanted to try to make these videos quicker. I promise you I'm going to try to stay on track. There is a term that I want to just go ahead and put out there for anybody who is actually watching. There's a term called enmeshment. Enmeshment. Okay, and it goes along with some of the other videos that I've been talking about. Basically, with having a mother wound, you could be a female or a male and be enmeshed with one of your parents. So let me just read the actual definition. You can look this up. And actually, if you even type it in YouTube or whatever, you will find some like real counselors and real like professional people talking about this. I just kind of want to put it on the radar. I'm not a professional, but I do want to just read some facts about something called enmeshment, okay? Enmeshment is a state of being overly involved with another person or group or people. It can occur in romantic relationships or between family members. And in enmeshed relationships, boundaries are unclear and non-existent. Signs of enmeshment: feeling responsible for another person's emotions. Top: when somebody else makes you responsible for your feelings. That is the number one clear sign that you are enmeshed. Now, being enmeshed is not necessarily bad. Like when I was going into labor and my first husband, my late husband, he was my coach. He was definitely enmeshed. He had phantom labor pains and everything like me. He was so excited when the kids were coming. But anyway, but when you're enmeshed, it's like when two people, you're just like this. Too much. Sometimes it can be good and sometimes it can be bad. Okay? Anyway, I'm going to continue to read it. This particular term. And this is a term that's in psychiatry and like therapy and stuff like that. You'll hear people say enmeshed. Okay, prioritizing another person's needs over your own. Struggling to recognize your own feelings. Lack of privacy. Lack of independence. Feeling entangled in another person's emotions and identities. Cause of enmeshment or causes of enmeshment: trauma or illness. An addiction or mental illness in a parent and or a chronically ill child. Effects of enmeshment: low self-esteem, emotional dysregulation, fear of abandonment, difficulty maintaining healthy relationships, and lack of self-identity. So emotional dysregulation, like for example, when you have maybe fears of speaking to somebody about something in particular, or when you know you have to confront somebody about something or whatever. Being emotionally dysregulated is maybe, instead of doing that, like just walking out the room or just hanging up the phone or trying to push things under the rug, and your emotions are dysregulated, right? I know some people who will wait until they get so mad or whatever. They wait till things pile up before they blow off, before they go off. My first husband was that way. And people who are enmeshed, specifically with their mothers, they are usually called mama's boys. And my late husband was definitely a mama's boy, and he definitely had enmeshment with his mother. Now, this is a real term. This is a real thing. Okay, so it says examples of enmeshment: a mother who calls her son's ex-girlfriend, a person who can't make decisions without consulting their parents, a family member who takes it personal whenever someone moves away. Those are just some simple classic signs of enmeshment, right? Okay, so basically, enmeshment can also be like, let's say, somebody can't be happy for you. Let's say with a mother and a son. A son decides to move away. Like my son decided to, he moved, he's an hour or so away from me. He's in school and everything, right? And, but a enmeshed mother will be like, will take that as a sign of abandonment and will not be happy. Either outwardly not be happy or secretly not be happy. Okay? That is a mother who is enmeshed because she cannot be happy for her son, even if her son is doing the right thing or doing something good or whatever. It's not according to what she thinks is right or whatever she wants. Okay? Let's say, for example, your son, decides to be with one woman and marry one woman, but the mother likes somebody else, and she tried to set him up with somebody else, and the other one he doesn't like. He doesn't want to be with her. Okay? And that mother will try to evoke emotion. Everything from scare tactics to I'm going to leave you, I'll never be whatever, I'll never talk to you, or whatever she can try to do to evoke control over her. Because she's enmeshed with her son. She thinks that whatever her son's decisions are going to affect her so acutely. And honestly, her son's decisions can only affect her as much as she would want. So for example, my son married somebody that he didn't even tell me about. I absolutely didn't know. And if I had known and had vetted this narcissist girl, I would have definitely stopped it. Or I would have definitely been to put my foot down, at least say no. But even when I did find out and I said, no, this isn't a good for you, whatever, I said what I said, I had to let it go. Because I knew a snake will always prove to be a snake. It just is what it is. You will eventually get bit by the venom. It is what it is. People reap what they sow, and they are who they are. Like, at the core. People can only pretend and put a mask on for so long. And exactly what I said is exactly what happened. And this is why I've been talking a lot about this with my son. But you know what? I wasn't so enmeshed with him that I had to actually have my way. Even though I knew it wasn't the right thing for him, I knew he had to go ahead and go to the school of hard knocks. This is what I tell him. I say, son, some children learn on their own and learn from watching or whatever. And some children have to learn from going to the school of hard knocks. And you graduate from there. And that's how you learn. And if that's how you want to learn, then so be it. I mean, it did affect me. It absolutely did affect me. It's definitely emotionally, but I didn't let it affect me to the point of me not moving on or, me not functioning in my life. Okay? Mothers who like to be enmeshed with their children, they can't function. They act like their world is going to shut down if you go against them in some sort of way. That is a classic example. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit later on about different things about how to break free from enmeshment and psychological. I want to read this definition. It says, enmeshment is a psychological term that describes relationships where boundaries are unclear or permeable, often on an emotional level. It's common between a child and their primary caregiver. Okay, so it says, what is an adult son enmeshed with mother? I'm just reading it. Like, literally, this is a real thing. Don't take my words for it. Reading Rainbow. But, okay. Like, this is a real thing. A lot of people, maybe they know, maybe they don't know. Maybe you've just been controlled by your family and by other members of your family for so long, and you've been in this type of dysfunctional cycle your whole life that you just don't even know that it exists, right? Until maybe somebody like me actually says to you, you're enmeshed. And it's actually an imbalanced type of relationship. It's actually not healthy. It's actually dysfunctional. Okay, so enmeshment occurs when a man becomes emotionally enmeshed with his mother. This can lead to conflict and struggles with loyalty to mom and her intrusiveness in a relationship. The man can be very defensive of his mother, limiting his abilities to validate his partner's experience. So, for example, if a man is overly enmeshed with his mother and his wife doesn't like his mom or whatever, he will tend to lean towards his mother's side because he just can't handle not being validated by his mother. It could be a hard place and a hard thing for a man to deal with. My husband had to deal with that until he finally, could sense the negative intentions that his mom had towards him at certain times for certain things, not for everything. He could also see some of her selfish tendencies, okay? Like, for example, not wanting to come to our wedding, and when she was coerced into coming, she wore all black, telling people she was going to her son's funeral. Little did she know she was going to actually go to her son's funeral a few years later, whatever, when he died of a heart attack. And little did she realize that me actually was the best woman for him and actually stayed by his side through thick and thin. And many people know our story. And like he literally told people, I would say for a good year before he passed away, whatever, he was telling people that Jesus Christ is our Savior, but Jesus used me to save him. That's what he told people, because that's how he viewed me. He really viewed me that way. And he was very much in love with me. This was after many years. We were together from the time I was 17 and we were together 17 years, like, total. And I was never disloyal to him. I didn't leave his side. And I would still be with him today if he was married. But anyway, in any case, he was severely enmeshed with his mother, and he had to work on that. It was really something he had to really, really work on. And he struggled. I would say he struggled easily for the first 5 years, until it started to really affect him negatively, and he started to see that his mom had more selfish tendencies towards him. And not just him, really the whole family, okay? But him, because he was a mama's boy. He was admittedly a mama's boy. In any case, I had to talk to him a lot about validating himself and praying to God and allowing God to validate him with his decisions, and knowing and being able to stand on firm ground about his decisions, and be able to, just evoke his control over his own life. And I had to remind him, when we did get an argument, sometimes I would have to say to him, who do you want to have sex with? like, okay, you're not going to bed with her at night, okay? You're not being disrespectful to her either. She's just not getting her way about certain things. And I wouldn't let her get her way with me. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. Because I don't suffer from enmeshment, okay? And my mother actually told me about this many years ago when I was a teenager, and she taught me about this very thing, actually, which is why I could help my first husband. And how my mom, she was very forward-thinking. She knew she had something she had to work on, because she kind of suffered from some of that, from her upbringing, but she helped me so that I didn't fall into that. I did not fall into that, right? But anyway, at least I had forward-thinking parents who knew, right from wrong. And the scriptures that literally say, a son will leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife. Of course, what do you do if you marry somebody who's just like your mother? She's going to be very hard to cleave to if she doesn't respect you and she treats you and she disrespects your boundaries just as much as your mother, right? Do you think that God wants that for you? There's some good classic examples in the Bible about that. But anyway, okay, this video has already been 12 minutes, so I'm trying to keep it to under 15 minutes each one. But in any case, this is a real term, and I'm going to continue to talk about this because it is an unhealthy type of relationship that will affect you throughout the rest of your life. It says, what is an unhealthy mother-adult-son relationship, right? Again, you can just look this up. And you can just read this for yourself, and then you could just decide for yourself, like, do I fall into this category? Am I this way with my mother? Is my mother this way with me? This is a cause for reflection, okay? Maybe if your mother's passed on or whatever, it's still something that you can reflect on, right? And then it might help you to see, like, how you actually have shown up in life if it has been affected by being enmeshed with your mother. So I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it up because I'm trying to stay under 15 minutes. Okay, and what is an unhealthy mother-adult-son relationship? In an enmeshed mother and son relationship, healthy, emotional, and physical boundaries don't exist. Instead, your mother does things that make you feel physically uncomfortable, like showing up at your home unannounced, or venting to you constantly about any negative emotions she hasn't worked through. Okay, so enmeshment, as we continue to talk about this, if you research it, whatever, it talks about basically as a child, if you were trained as a child to do things that were not actually in your responsibility, like you're not an adult and you shouldn't be doing adult responsibilities, like caring for your mother's emotional needs, and said she should be doing that for you, especially as a young child. Or let's say your mother forced you to go out and pay some bills for her, okay, or doing things that her husband or her boyfriend or somebody else should be doing for her, or if she had none and she decided you're the man of the household now and you have to do these things because it's basically like she's married to you, even though you might not be doing whatever like that. That's not what I'm saying, but she's putting responsibilities onto you under 18, like as a child or whatever, that are more adult responsibilities, and making you feel responsible for those things. And if you don't come through with that, then her world is all in turmoil because you, okay? That is how parents become enmeshed with their children, especially mothers and sons. I was so cognitively aware of this, like, oh my gosh, because of my husband and because of learning this, I was so aware of this with my children and my boys. I might have even taken it too far, because I tried so hard to always be like, you know, like, I can't force you to do this or that or this or that. You got to make the right decisions, you know. But I didn't want that feeling. I didn't want them to feel like they were enmeshed. I wanted them to make right decisions because it was what they wanted to do, because of their God, because of their relationship with Jehovah, you know, or because of what's right and wrong or whatever, right? Like, I would say, don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. Decide for yourself and stand firm on the ground and stand up for what you believe. Don't let other people, mother or not, family or not, control your happiness and control what is really right for you. Okay? Don't be enmeshed